Welcome to the 5-Star Retirement Show with Patrick Mueller, best-selling co-author of Dare to Succeed and president of Bella Advisors. Today, he'll be sharing his 5-star retirement formula, including lifetime income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. Here's Chris Monroe and Patrick Mueller.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 5-Star Retirement, helping you live the 5-star retirement lifestyle, which we'll talk about. I'm your host, Chris Monroe, alongside Patrick Mueller, our good friend from Bella Advisors. Always good to be with you, sir.
Likewise. Good to be here.
Yeah, and we always talk about ways that we can help people live the 5-star retirement lifestyle. So let's reset that and kind of talk for just a second about what those 5 stars are.
Sure. So the 5 stars, there's 5 areas to retirement planning, and a lot of times people just get focused on investments and kind of putting money away, but they don't realize everything that goes into a retirement. So that's how we started this 5-star retirement plan, and it's 5 areas of retirement planning. So we've got income planning, which is when you're retiring, how do you replace your paycheck when you retire? And then that ties into the investments. How are your investments designed to help you accomplish that? And then you got tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. So we got to make sure we got a star for each one of those different areas of planning, because if you don't have each one of those locked down, it could lead to something happening bad in your retirement.
I've got to imagine there's a lot of people that don't have all 5 stars covered.
Yeah, most people that come in are typically have like 1, 2, maybe 3 stars. But,
well, you think about,
but that's what we got to find out.
That people don't think about. You're so focused on putting money away.
Yeah.
But what about all the other things?
And you get so caught up in day-to-day life. I mean, like last week, I had a cracked tooth. The last thing I'm thinking about is, anything about retirement or anything else besides getting the teeth.
I need my teeth fixed.
Yeah.
The kids need braces and this, and all of a sudden then retirement's on you, and now you've got a lot of decisions to make. And that is kind of a segue into this first segment of today's show. And that's decisions that have to be made going into retirement. And what happens once you hit that point? And then you're, all right, I'm now retired, so now what? So, and a lot of that has to do around your 401k. So let's talk a little bit about that and what people need to do, because it's not just as simple as, well, I've got all this money. There has to be a plan, and that's part of it. So let's talk a little bit about qualified distributions.
Let's do it. That sounds super exciting,
Super exciting, right?
Right? Let's figure out what that means.
So if you retire after age 59 and a half, the IRS allows you to begin taking distributions from your 401k without having the 10% early withdrawal penalty.
Yeah, and here's the thing is that you've got that you missed the 15% or the 10% early withdrawal penalty if you want to be taking it out. But they also, if you're taking it out of a 401k, then they've got a 20% automatic payment that's got to go to the IRS if you still have it in your 401k. So what you want to do when you hit 59 and a half, and you're going to be taking any kind of distributions, but you should always be thinking about if you're over 59 and a half, or you've left a company and there's a dormant 401k, roll that thing over. There's no taxes due. Roll it over into your own individual traditional IRA. And that way you have it 100% in your control, and you're in control of what you pay in the tax.
So does that also, and so say somebody works until they're 65 or 68, that still needs to happen?
That still needs to happen.
Okay, so this is not just at retirement. This is leading up to the retirement.
So most companies, when you hit that 59 and a half, they allow you to do what's called an in-service rollover, where even if you're still working, still contributing, the company may be matching you on what you're contributing. That doesn't change whatsoever. But you can roll the amount that's in there, existing amount, over into your own individual IRA. And what that does is it opens up a whole world of other options that you have available to you to invest the money, put it in, because they know you're getting close to retirement now. And so they know that you probably want to be getting that money out and safeguarding a piece of that money.
Right. And it's probably either in more aggressive investments that might not be suitable for their age at that time, and trying to put something into a little bit safer investment as well.
That's exactly right.
So what about the age 55 rule? If you retire or lose your job when you're 55 but not 59 and a half, you can avoid the 10% penalty for taking the money out of your 401k. It only applies from the employer you're just left. So how does that work?
Yeah, so you can move it over into your own individual IRA, and you can move that. It's kind of like a hardship clause where if you've lost your job and they'll allow you to start pulling that money out without taking the 10% penalty. You just got to remember every dollar you're pulling out of there is deferred income taxes, deferred income that you haven't paid income taxes on yet. So you're still going to be taxed right on that money. It's just they have that additional 10% penalty that they put on it as well. But there's also something called a 72T that if you are needing to take money out, and even if you are still working, then you just have to take an equal payment out each year over a 5-year period of time, and you can take it out without taking that 10% penalty either.
I guess you get a like a 1099. It's called something else at the end of the year. I mean, that is income. So
it's totally a 1099. Yeah, that's a 1099. It comes in from whatever that financial institution is. Yeah.
So you're responsible for all the tax on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a lot of times this is a big problem when there's inheritance and you've got a kid that inherits a big IRA account, right? They get, say for an example, somebody inherits $500,000 worth of IRA money. They don't know that it's all deferred income. So they go and they buy a new sports car and they go and blow through the money. And at the end of the year, they get this huge tax bill and they're like, what in the world? What is this? I thought this was free money.
Let it lie. You're not required to take distributions from your account as soon as you retire. While you cannot continue to contribute to a 401k held by a previous employer, your plan administrator is required to maintain your plan if you have more than $5,000 in assets. So you can continue to just let that, if you don't need it right away, you can, and once you retire, you can just let it stay there. Now, how does that work with the required minimum distribution, which is the next topic here?
That required minimum distribution, wherever it is, you still have to take out that required minimum distribution, whether it's still in your 401k or IRA account, like wherever they're at, all those tax deferred dollars. Because the deal that you made with the government is that when you put money into those accounts, a lot of people feel like they're saving money on taxes, but you're not saving anything in taxes. You're only deferring having to pay the income taxes into the future. And so the problem is compounding. I mean,
that's like buying that new bedroom suit on 48 months deferred interest. But if you don't pay it off in 48 months, guess what? You pay interest all the way back to the beginning. So it's just deferring that's the inevitable.
Deferring the problem, yeah. And whenever we put a problem off, I mean, how often does the problem get better?
Probably not good. Usually it gets worse. Yeah, cars, health, finances, it's all part of it. Patrick, how do folks get in touch with you in 5-Star Retirement?
Yeah, so if you want to get on top of like your taxes and understanding all these things and how they pertain to you, and especially if you're still working, you're contributing the best way you want to, the best account you want to be contributing that money into, and then, as equally as important, if not more important, how to get that money out in the most tax advantageous manner. So you can give us a call here at 770-545-8881. Again, the number is 770-545-8881. And schedule your time to come in for a visit, and we'll answer all of your questions that you have. And we'll have some questions for you as well to make sure we understand your situation. But we do this analysis for you free of charge, but you just got to call us and schedule time to come in. 770-545-8881.
We talked about the 5 stars and the whole premise of this show and how it ties into your advisor group. And, we're just touching on one little piece of it.
That's right.
I mean, the 401k, there's so much more to that. And how many people can run into these landmines and roadblocks and speed bumps that can trip them up? And talk about opening up and cracking and scrambling a nest egg that you've saved so hard in your life. You worked so hard to make this happen. And then you're just going to just throw caution to the wind and not see somebody like Patrick who knows his stuff. And by the way, it's a pretty nice guy too.
Yeah. You think it's going to be, super boring stuff or
right?
somebody's, or some, cheesy guy you might be talking to, but it's totally not the case. I'm not that cheesy.
And you're in Roswell, so easy to get to from anywhere in the metro area.
Yeah. So we're in Roswell, kind of close to downtown Roswell. And so it's pretty close to just about everybody. And it's worth going around
just for the shops and the restaurants down there.
Oh man, there's so much good stuff. Man. Roswell and downtown Alpharetta and Avalon. And oh man, it's like heaven.
So
come to heaven.
Right? They've done a great job with that up there. So required minimum distributions. You don't need to start taking distributions the minute you stop working, but obviously you must begin taking that. How is that calculated? Is it based on the total account balance, or
they take your total account balance and then they have a life expectancy table.
Okay.
Which is super nice, right?
Right.
Yeah. So at age 7.5, they have this scale,
of course,
and there's just a certain percentage you got to take out based on your total account value. It's based on December 31st of the previous year. So you take whatever that account value was on December 31st. So if 2019 was the first year that you were taking a distribution, you're going to be basing off of December 31st values of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we take a percentage off of that, and that's how much you're required to take out and pay taxes.
There's never anything, as we say all the time, if the government's involved, we have 59.5 and we have this, but it's almost like an algebraic equation trying to solve for X somewhere.
It's really, anytime you're making a deal with the government, you're going to have some complications.
So if you want to keep building savings after retirement, what are the options? I mean, I assume you can still put money away. You just can't put it tax deferred, I guess, or maybe in a certain kind of IRA. You
just have to have earned income coming in.
Okay.
So if you want to put it into a Roth account, you can put it into just a regular brokerage account if you wanted to. But there are some great advantages depending on what you're trying to accomplish. There can be some great investment grade life insurance accounts that are out there that people just aren't even aware that exist. So it keeps your money 100% liquid. We can get safe growth out of it, and then you get all the tax advantages of the life insurance. So there's some pretty cool accounts that are out there. People just don't know about it. And it's kind of one of those things, and why you want to be talking to somebody like myself is you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
And so, you deal with somebody who does holistic planning. And that's the thing, is you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that specializes in retirement planning. They're a fiduciary, and they've got a holistic approach that they take. And not to badmouth anybody, but most of the folks that are out there in the advisory world, your big firms and things that are out there, they're basically stockbrokers. Doesn't make them bad. They're accumulation specialists, and I think they do a good job getting you to retirement. But once you're nearing retirement, you're like 5-10 years away from retirement, it's time to switch gears, and it's time to seek out that person who specializes in retirement planning and making sure you got all your ducks in a row.
A lot to think about as you begin to retire, whether you're almost there or already in retirement. One more time, real quickly, the number to reach you.
Yeah, give us a call here, 770-545-8881. And again, that is 770-545-8881. Schedule your time to come in for a visit, and we'll sit down and we'll do a free stress test and analysis for you on what your current retirement plan looks like. And there's some red flags you need to be paying attention to and making sure you have everything in order. But you got to take that action, and there's no obligation. So I don't know why you wouldn't do it. No. So just give us a call here, 770-545-8881, and I look forward to talking to you.
All right. Another segment coming up. Stay with us here on 5 Star Retirement. And welcome back to 5 Star Retirement. Glad you're with us here, either online or on air. And make sure you click the share, the like, and that you are sharing this with people that really need this information. Chris Monroe alongside Patrick Mueller of 5 Star Retirement and Bella Advisors right here in Roswell. And we'll, of course, have the information on how you can get in touch with Patrick. And we've been talking a little bit. We talked about what to do in the last segment, if you're nearing retirement, or you're just into retirement with your 401k. And we touched a little bit about the tax situation, but I want to get a little bit more into that in this segment too. And you like to talk a lot about, you're making a deal with the government. Okay, we're going to, you're going to put this and you're going to get a tax break on your current income.
Yeah.
But, you're going to have to pay the piper at some point. So there's a lot of things that can probably cost people a lot of money if they don't do it at the right time, in the right way. So let's talk a little bit about that. And I guess one of the first things on the sheet here is taking that RMD, or required minimum distribution. That's a lot of syllables, at the wrong time, or not doing it at all.
If you don't do it at all, then it's the biggest penalty in the IRS tax code. So you get a 50% penalty on what you should have taken out. And not only do you get that 50% penalty, but you still have to pay the regular taxes that you should have been paying on that deferred income.
What?
Yeah.
50% penalty.
50%.
So that's the penalty plus the tax.
That's the penalty, and then plus you still have to pay the tax.
How many people actually do that? I mean, do you see that people just don't take the RMD? And
Sure. And it's just because they don't know. Wow. It's not because anybody is just trying to not pay their taxes.
Sure,
it's always because we just don't understand these accounts, and we have no idea.
Well, it just kind of sits there. It's, we get a statement every quarter or whatever, or once a year, and you don't really think about it. And I guess when, you're thinking about what's next in your life, and that's where somebody like Bella Advisors and Patrick can walk you through these steps, whether you're 5 years for retirement, whether you're a year from retirement, or whether you're in retirement right now, to just have that checkup and make sure that you're not going to, I think that's important to say again, 50%
important.
penalty.
Yeah, 50% penalty. And because most people, when you're putting money into those IRAs and 401ks and all that tax-deferred income, we think we're getting that tax-free money. Like we're just able to put that, and you're not having to pay tax on the money, but you're not. You're just deferring having to pay the income taxes into the future. So that's what happens is at age 70 and a half, the government steps in and says, hey, you've been deferring having to pay your income taxes for too long now, and now we're going to force you to start paying your income taxes because they want their tax money.
Okay.
But a lot of times it's accrued so large that it's people's number one asset, where it's more than their house,
Sure.
it's more than everything else. It's
And
their
especially in the
biggest
down
asset.
market, or if people have lost, we right now the real estate market's very high. The stock market's very high, but that people that have been around for a while understands that ebbs and flows and changes. So, yeah, you're right. A lot of people have most of their wealth, if not all of it, tied up in that 401k.
And a lot of times it causes people to have to pay more in taxes than they should have to pay
Right.
when they're taking it out at 70.5. Because you're taking it out, and let's just say it's roughly around 4% of what you have to take out each year, and it kind of slowly grows each year on what you're forced to start taking out. But it's like, so if somebody's got $1 million worth of IRA or deferred income built up, that's $40,000, right, of taxable income that comes in. So that alone would cause you to have to start paying taxes on your Social Security benefits.
Oh, wow.
So there are rules around that, and it can throw you up into a higher tax bracket. So you could have it to pay more in taxes than you should have to pay. And with Social Security, it's so sneaky, with what they're doing with Social Security. They tax you on your Social Security benefits at your highest marginal tax rate, not your effective tax rate, right? Like they tax everything else.
Right.
At the last dollar you made and the last tax bracket you're in, that's what they tax it at. And so
Not your current tax bracket.
Not
So,
your current
so
tax
you're
bracket.
locked into that forever. So if you're a high earner, or let's say you work all your life and you finally get to that upper tax bracket, there you sit.
There you sit.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people think they were going to be in a lower tax bracket, but because of things like this, it pushes them up into a higher tax bracket and causes them to be taxed on stuff that they shouldn't have to be taxed on.
All right. So and I think this is a good thing because there's so many numbers, and the IRS, 59 and a half is the earliest you can start taking penalty-free withdrawals from your 401k.
Correct.
Or IRA.
Yeah, if you, there are the special things you have to do if you take it out before 59 and a half.
We talked about the 55, special hardship, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But 70 and a half, so you could essentially not take anything out from 59 and a half to 70 and a half. There are no RMDs until 70 and a half. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not
All
forced
right.
to start taking it out till then. So it gives us the ability to do a lot of planning.
Sure.
So where you are putting your money away now, making sure that you're putting it away in the right places. So, go ahead and pay the taxes now while it's on sale and put it into places where you're never going to have to pay tax on that money again, because that makes a huge difference over a period of time. And we want to convert it. So if somebody stops working, let's say 65, we want to look at doing some conversions between 65 and 70, to make sure that we're saving you from a lot of those penalties that you're going to get when you start taking those required minimum distributions. It's not too high.
So apparently there are different rules for the required minimum distributions. We'll just call them RMDs. It's easier to say. So apparently the rules are different between 401ks and IRAs.
You still got to take it out. You still got to take it out. It's just when you leave it in a 401k, you got to pay a 20% taxes immediately when you take that money out. If it's still in your 401k on any distributions, they just immediately send that to the government. So you don't want to have to do that. What if you're in a lower tax bracket, you're not going to be paying hardly anything. You want to make sure you're not having to pay more than you should. So it's always good. You always want to be, if you've got those dormant 401ks or you're over 59 and a half, that's a reason why right now that you should be picking up the phone and giving us a call, because we can help walk you through that. That's what we specialize in, is helping folks roll over those 401ks and move it into your own individual IRA account and get it 100% in your control. I don't know if you saw this today, but GE just froze like 20,000 people's pension plans.
GE is in trouble.
Yeah.
They are. That's not a good situation. They're saying that it may make Enron look kind of like child's play.
Oh, man.
Some of the stuff that they've been cooking.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's 100% reason why you want to get as much of that money in your control as you can, because like with Enron, they froze everybody's retirement accounts. Most of those people's money was in Enron stock, and so they got to see their retirements just go away like Enron did.
So, wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
Real quick, you talked about getting in touch with you. Somebody is saying right now, the bells and whistles are going off. Man, I need to talk to Patrick. How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, what you got to do is just take down this number and give us a call here, 770-545-8881. Again, that is 770-545-8881. And schedule a time to come in for a visit. We'll do a free stress test and analysis for you, let you know what's good that you're doing, the path that you're on, and things that we would be paying attention to if we were you. And if we can help you, that's great. If not, we want to make sure you have clarity on what's going on with your situation. But give us a call, 770-545-8881.
Let's talk about the special RMD rules if you plan to work after 70 and a half, or I guess if you go back in to work. As long as you don't own more than 5% of the company, you usually don't have to take RMDs from your current employer's 401k while still employed, but you do need to take RMDs from previous employers' 401k. So let's say they offer a 401k.
Yep.
You're working after 70 and a half. You know what? That's separated from that, but
yes, if you got a previous 401k, like from a different company that you worked for and it's still sitting there, then you still have to pay the required minimum distributions on that, but you don't for the current employer that you're currently with and currently contributing to.
So I wonder how many people take advantage of that. Here you are, you've already retired, I guess, from, and now you want to work because 401ks have become so common now, even if you're a part-timer, a lot of times they offer that to everyone.
And even the institutions get it wrong. We see this all the time, is that even the 401k that you're currently with and you're still with that employer, they'll still send you a letter saying, hey, you need to take out your required minimum distribution this year, because they're trying to cover their butt on their end. And they just kind of send that out generically to everybody, but you don't realize that if you're still working there, that you don't have to take it out.
So there's so many, we just
little
talked
caveats,
caveats and landmines and things that you got to try to, and this is just on taxes and required minimum distributions, just on IRAs and 401ks.
Yeah.
So you really getting things out of that old employer 401k anyway just makes more sense, right?
Makes more sense. I mean, as soon as you are 59 and a half, or as soon as you leave a company, you should be rolling over that 401k into your own individual IRA. Only good stuff's going to happen. Because of 401ks, that whole platform, they have administrative fees that they're charging you. You don't realize that they're taking that money out of your account, but they are. That's how they're in business. So
that's how they pay for those 60-story buildings in the heart of downtown areas. I mean, yeah, right. They don't just give that stuff away.
So people are like, I don't have any fees. Really? How do they stay in business, right? Exactly. How are they buying those skyscrapers?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so you want to be doing that, rolling that over, because now it's 100% in your control on what you want to do with those dollars and where you want to invest in. It really opens up a whole other world of what's going on. And that's why you want to have some kind of financial ally. You want to have some kind of financial coach and working with somebody that specializes in this stuff. And just like your top athletes, they all have coaches.
Sure. No matter what level you get to. And you might think it's kind of like, well, I know what's going on with me because I consulted Dr. Google and Dr. WebMD. And yeah, there's a lot of advice that you can get online. And yes, but somebody that this is your life. This is what you do. And you can look in and say, no, there's a better way for you. And I can save you. I'm sure you've probably saved people six figures before, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not smart. And that's money that feeds the other stars, that feeds your legacy. Do you want to give? Do you want to, what do you want to do? You want to really give that money to the government?
Yeah, all these things tie together. All five of these areas we got to focus on and make sure we got a star and a plan for each one of these different areas in your plan. And the first time that we do something is not typically the best time that we do it.
It's true.
And how many times are people going to be going through retirement? So we got to make sure that we get it right the first time, and that you don't have to retire a second time or be put into a bad situation. So
and look,
it's so good to go through this and get a checkup, just like. I just went and did, I'm 42, and you see all these people dying early. And
right.
So I went and got the heart scans and the lung scans and
right.
all that stuff. I mean, luckily my doctor said that I'm still too young to have to do the prostate exam. So I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
He seemed to be happy about it too.
Yeah.
But
I don't think anybody really wants to do that, but
so I promise you guys that if you guys come in and see me, it won't be like a prostate exam. But you do want to get your financial health checked out.
Absolutely.
And make sure that everything's going correctly. So give us a call here at 770-545-8881 and get your financial health screening. And we'll let you know what kind of shape you're in for retirement. Again, 770-545-8881.
And coming up, another segment on how to live the 5-star retirement next. And welcome back to 5-Star Retirement. Chris Monroe, Patrick Mueller of Bella Advisors, helping you live the 5-star retirement life, whether you're heading to retirement, whether you're already in retirement. Patrick is there for you to help you correct your course if it's not on a good course and you're going out to see somewhere that's not good, or if you're getting ready to retire so that you can go into retirement in much better shape. We've talked today about 401ks. We've talked about the tax implications. 6 things that can be pitfalls, and a lot of these we'll talk about your 5-star system, which I think is just great. I love the simplicity of that, and I love the way that it just everyone has its own meaning, and they all tie together.
Right.
And as far as your entire retirement picture. So let's just rehash number 1, and we've talked about it in the last couple of segments, is roll over your 401k, and we did talk a little bit about that. And one of the things that I guess is important too is having not only control of that money, but typically in a lot of 401ks, the investment options are very limited, and now you've suddenly put this into a brokerage account or something where you have a world of investments and you can help put people where they need to be.
That's right. So you've got total control over that money now when you put it into your own individual IRA, and you have this whole world of investments that open up to you that you couldn't do in your 401k. So typically all your 401k stuff, it's all stock market, bond market driven. So there are very few places that you can put the money where it's actually safe and protected. And as you're getting close to retirement, it's so much more important to protect yourself from big losses than it is trying to get the full growth of the market. And what I see is people getting very complacent because we haven't seen a downturn for over a decade now, and it's just been booming. And I mean, at some point, my crystal ball works as good as everybody else's does, but we're in for a downturn. And so, but if you're in your 20s and 30s, I mean, you can kind of recover from that over time. Just kind of stay invested and stay the course, and you'll be all right. That's kind of okay advice. But when you're 5-10 years away from retiring, or you're retired and you go through a big downturn like that and you need to be pulling from your retirement funds, that can be devastating.
Think about those of you right now that are nearing retirement age. Let's say you're in the next year or you're getting to that point. Where would you have been 10 years ago when the market lost what was trillions of dollars of wealth overnight, and all of a sudden your portfolio was cut in half? And now your home is worth half what it was. You don't have time to wait for that. It's been a long time for that to recover.
Exactly. That 401k went down to a 201k. And,
yeah, right.
You don't want that you don't want that happening when you're retiring.
Yeah.
Because that can completely wipe out somebody's retirement and their plans. So a lot of people back then, a lot of people had to put off retiring because of that, or put a lot of people into, you go through a big downturn like that. And here's what people don't talk about is you hear people like Warren Buffett and Jack Bogle, who recently passed away. He started Vanguard, world's largest mutual fund company, and brilliant guy, changed the industry. But their philosophy is just buy the indexes, because people don't beat the indexes over time, and just stay invested, and you're going to be okay. And again, that's okay advice for people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. But the thing that my clients don't have on their side is time. They're nearing retirement or they're retired. They can't go through a 50% downturn. So right. you either have a decision where you're either going to dramatically cut your lifestyle, or you're going to run a good chance of running out of money if you go through something like that. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. So when you're getting close to retirement, we use something called the rule of 100. Take whatever your age is, and that should be the percentage of your life savings that's in things that are safe and protected from loss. And one of the biggest myths that's out there is that you can't get good returns or market returns on your money while having it safe. And that's just Wall Street propaganda.
And that's changed a lot, too, probably over the last decade or two. There's been a lot of new products that have been introduced.
Big time.
And those aren't publicized because they probably don't make as much money for those that are selling them. But your objective, and what I love about somebody that's really a teacher, has the heart of a teacher and not the heart of a salesperson. And that's what you do. How do people get in touch with you to help avoid some of these pitfalls? We'll get to number 2 next.
Yeah, so all you got to do is just pick up the phone, give us a call here at 770-545-8881. Again, that is 770-545-8881. Schedule a time to come in for a visit. We'll sit down with you. We'll do a free stress test and analysis for you. We'll see what your financial health is looking like, and we'll show you the things you're doing that are good, and you want to keep continuing to do those things, and we're going to show you the stuff that would be red flags to us. These are things that we would be fixing if we were you, and there's no obligation whatsoever. You just got to call us, 770-545-8881. 8881 or go to bellaadvisors.com.
All right. And number 2 on the list here is Manage Medicare. And this goes to one of your stars about healthcare.
Healthcare, yep.
On average, you should expect Medicare to cover about half of your healthcare expenses in retirement. To avoid delayed benefits or extra fees, you generally must sign up for Medicare benefits during the 7-month period around your 65th birthday. Here's another thing that you've got to remember that while you're trying to get out the door in retirement. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 3 months before your birthday, you can sign up for it, and up to 3 months after the month of your birthday, you can sign up for it, and you'll get stuff in the mail, and you will probably have people hounding you by email, and people have your information. They know when you're turning 65,
right?
So you'll have all of these Medicare supplement companies and different people contacting you to let you know that you're going to be aging into Medicare.
Well, I remember my dad got a book. It was like a phone book. I'm like, who's going to, you're already getting older. It's tough to see. And you got this small print and it's so confusing. So helping you through that. Number 3, maximizing Social Security. It's usually the number one income source that retirees rely on, but there's a lot of pitfalls that can be, here.
Big time. I'll tell you, right before I came into the studio, I was talking with one of my clients, and she was a divorcee. And she was going through hard times. She lost her job, and she's kind of wanting to work for another 5 years, but she's having trouble getting another job. Nobody's wanting to hire somebody that's at that age.
And wants that kind of money, probably.
And wants that kind of money that
right.
she's used to. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly right. So I said, well, you realize because you were divorced and you were married longer than 10 years that you have benefits under your ex-spouse's benefits. So she could file on her benefits, and she has told me today that it just started, and she's now getting a check for $2,000 a month, right? That's able to take care of all of her bills. But she's getting a check for $2,000 a month, and then later on down the road, say for an example, at her full retirement age or age 70, she could turn on her benefits and be getting more money at that point.
So many pitfalls to avoid.
There's so many different things. I mean, there's over 500 different ways that somebody can file for their Social Security.
Wow.
If you're between the ages of 62 and 70, if you're a couple, and the government will not show you what the best strategies are for you.
No.
So luckily we help folks with that.
Right. And that's what you do.
Yeah. So there's so many different options, and there's so many different strategies that really need to be customized to what's going on with your particular situation.
Let's talk about the star that you have about legacy planning, which I love.
Yeah.
And that is to transfer wealth, estate planning, providing for the surviving spouse and generations, creating and updating a will. There's a lot of things that people don't think about as part of retirement, and that is, let's talk about that star just for a moment.
Sure. So legacy planning, one, it's kind of two different things, where one, making sure everything's titled properly so that your stuff actually gets from point A to point B the way you want it to, versus going to the government or some other kind of third party. And then you've got, if you have legacy aspirations of what you want to be leaving behind, how do you want that to look? And everybody's situation is a little bit different. Probably the most common thing that I come across is, Patrick, we want to spend and enjoy our money, and whatever's left is left, kind of thing. And then you got some people that have specific things that are going on, where last week I had this lady that came in, and it's a terrible story, but her daughter's in her early 20s. She was a lifeguard. She had a seizure while she was in the water, and she ended up getting put into the hospital after that, and she had brain damage. And so now she basically is not going to function to, have a regular life. So her whole everything changed in an instant for her. And so her whole thing now is she wants to make she's taken care of in her retirement, but then just as importantly, she wants to make sure that now her daughter has a legacy, and that her daughter's not going to have to worry about money moving forward as well.
And we talked about it at the top of the segment. I mean, the best laid plans of mice and men. I mean, and that's where, let's say you have someone as a client, and you've set out a plan, it's working, and life can change in a New York minute.
And a second. Yep.
And so you may have to go back and revisit that. Last couple of things before we hit the break: manage debt, and that's something that has to be an equation, I would assume, as you get closer to retirement, is your debt service load.
For sure. Yeah. If you've still got high credit card bills, maybe there's a mortgage, if you still got car loans or college loans or things like that out there, it's interesting. We still see college loans and things like that when people are in their 60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm still paying on mine. I'm not happy about that. I deferred them for a long time, and then you pay what's called capitalized interest, which just means they roll that right back into the principal balance. Yeah, not good. At number 6 is consolidate accounts. It's oftentimes we've got tons of 401ks and brokerage accounts and this and that and the other savings accounts and all this. We need to get that into one manageable place so we can get a good picture of the overall finances.
Definitely. You want to simplify things as much as possible. There's no good reason to have, all your money in 20 different places. Just makes it basically impossible to manage everything. So that's what we try to help folks with, is we try to simplify everything. So we use 3 different custodians. We use Fidelity Investments, Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade. So we pick one of those custodians, title the accounts in your name, and we wrangle up all those different accounts and we move them into one place.
Because really with those, you can get just about everything in all those places today.
Yeah, you can get everything. And people don't realize that they can do that. And so we move everything what's called in kind and do an automated client account transfer where all those securities, nothing gets sold off. We just move them.
Just move them.
We just transfer them from one pocket to the other, and we can help with that.
Great segment. A lot to think about in those 6 things and that you can avoid. And that's just 6. There's dozens. So how can folks get in touch with you?
So much stuff. You just got to give us a call, 770-545-8881. And again, that is 770-545-8881. Schedule your time to come in for a visit. We'll do a free stress test and analysis for you so you understand where you're at, the current path you're on. And if there are problem areas, we'll bring those things up. And these would be things we'd be fixing if we were you. But you got to give us a call, and we'll do that for you, 770-545-8881.
Coming up next on 5-Star Retirement, it's the favorite section of the hour. It's the Q&A coming up next. And welcome back to 5-Star Retirement. Time for the final segment. It is the Q&A segment here where we take questions from listeners that have sent them in, and there's always a lot of great questions and sometimes some questions that are really complex. It's even tough to get into. And
for sure,
we try to send people your way and make sure that if we can't fully answer some of these questions, or you've got a notepad of them that you've written down after watching or listening to the show, that we can make sure that Patrick gets you taken care of. So we heard from John in Kennesaw, who is currently 64 years old and retired, has 2 IRAs. One is a precious metals account, and the other is a traditional IRA. I would like to remove a portion from either of these IRAs and put them into a Roth. How would I do this for either IRA? Is it the same process for the traditional as the precious metals? And how much can be transferred into the Roth on any given year?
So you can transfer everything over to a Roth if you want to. It's just you've got to make sure that you realize that all that money is tax-deferred income, right? So when you're moving that over, you're going to pay income taxes on whatever amount that is that you move over. So if you got a large IRA account, you got to be really careful of that it's not causing you to be pushed up into a higher tax bracket or causing you to pay taxes on things you shouldn't need to pay taxes on, like your Social Security.
Well, the Roths, too, don't they have an income threshold to qualify? Is it the Roth that has that?
So this guy's retired, right?
He's 64 and retired.
64, so he's retired. So he's wanting to do a conversion. So when you're converting it over, the government's more than happy for you to give them all of your tax money now.
Sure.
Yeah, they're more than happy to do that for you.
Well, what's the benefit of rolling it over into a Roth from you're already into traditional? Both of these are tax-deferred accounts, I would assume.
So it's tax-deferred, but you got to pay income tax on it at some point, right? So we're not getting away from paying the income taxes. We're just deferring it into the future. So let me kind of give you an example here where I had this couple that came in. They were in their early 60s, and they had about $1.5 million worth of tax-deferred income between their IRAs and their 401ks. So between the ages of 70 and 90, the required minimum distributions, they were going to pay about $550,000 in taxes on the required minimum distributions. They did not need the required minimum distributions to live off of, so they would reinvest it, and they would pay another $200,000 in taxes. And then the tax bill at age 90 to the family was $350,000 on the remaining balance because it doesn't go away. Somebody's still got to pay the taxes on that money. So out of the $1.5 million, they were going to pay close to $1.1 million in taxes over that period of time.
All of that growth, all of that hard work and discipline to put away $1.5 million.
Yeah.
And you're going to give away 80%.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? I mean, It's a good problem to have, but if we did a conversion, right, we could convert it over, and at the same tax rate, I used a 25% tax rate as a comparison, but we pay $350,000 in taxes, which still doesn't feel good, but it feels a whole lot better than paying 1.1 million over time.
And once it's in the Roth, it's done. I mean, right?
That's
You've already
right.
paid the taxes.
That's
in it.
right.
Okay.
So it's done. You never have to pay taxes on that money again. So all the growth, and that's the problem, is that the problem is growing, right? So if you've got $1 million or however much money it is, and it's growing at 7%, over 10 years, it's going to be double. So instead of having $1 million worth of income to pay taxes on, now you got $2 million worth of income to pay taxes on.
A lot to think about.
That's a lot of stuff. That's
Great
a lot of
question,
stuff,
John.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And thank
that's
you
a
for
good
listening
question.
and watching in Kennesaw. We heard from Emma in Douglasville. Are Social Security benefits withheld because of excess earnings returned to you in monthly installments when you reach full retirement age? Does that make sense to you?
I'm not sure I understand that
All right,
question.
so let me read the question.
Yeah.
Are Social Security benefits withheld because of excess earnings returned to you in a monthly installment when you reach full retirement age? I guess it sounds like, Emma, you may have retired early and you're earning too much money.
So they can, you can be, so on your Social Security benefits, you shouldn't be being penalized when you're at full retirement age. You shouldn't be getting any kind of penalties on any kind of early distribution.
She's not at full retirement age and is making too much money. Does that get given back to you? And something tells me no.
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 Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing. If you take your Social Security benefits early, before your full retirement age, which for most people is between 66 and 67, if you take it early, they put a cap on how much income that you can make each year. It's about 17 grand a year. And if you make more than that, then they start penalizing you on your Social Security benefits by taking them early.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so you got to make sure you're not doing that.
A lot of pitfalls. A good question. And again, one of the questions that's really hard to answer here in this kind of show, and Emma would really need to just come in and sit down with you. How would she get in touch with you to come in?
Yeah, you just got to pick up the phone, give us a call, 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881, and we'll do a free stress test and analysis for you on all 5 areas of your retirement planning, making sure you got a 5-star retirement plan, and making sure you've got that in place for your retirement. And if we can help you, that's great. If not, we want to make sure that you leave having a clear understanding of what's going on and the things to be paying attention to. And again, just give us a call, 770-545-8881.
Great question from Greg in Loganville. And I guess this is one of these things that I've thought of, and I know a lot of people ask, do beneficiaries pay taxes on life insurance distributions?
Nope. No,
that's a good. Finally, something that's in our favor.
Yeah. Yes.
The government does. All right. So life insurance. Let's say somebody has a $500,000 policy. Somebody dies unexpectedly. The family receives a check for $500,000, and you don't pay any. That's not taxable income.
Tax free.
Wow.
Yeah, tax free. Yeah, life insurance is a really great tool that is really underutilized, but it's really the secret of the wealthy and wealth transfer between estates, especially when estate taxes were much lower than they are today. But it's the only place that we can get dollars for pennies.
It's true.
And there's a lot of great tax benefits, that people can be using now for their retirement that they don't realize. And that's a really important thing. That's why you want to be sitting down with somebody that understands this stuff, because there are ways that you can put your money in. It's kind of like a supercharged Roth IRA. We can put our money in, and we can defer having to pay the taxes into the future. And then there are special parameters where we can take all that money out tax-free, so we can create tax-free income streams when you retire. And we can use the leverage of life insurance, and whatever you haven't spent goes to your family tax-free.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's good stuff.
And you're right. A lot of people, it's amazing to me how many people have young dependents, and are fairly young, and life insurance is cheap. I mean, it's, you can get a good amount of life insurance for $15 a month.
Exactly.
I mean, a couple of lattes, a couple of pumpkin spice lattes, and you could protect your family. So that's a great question and a great answer for a change. The government has not found a way around that. I fear that they will, though.
So the good thing is, if you have life insurance, all that stuff it's contract law, right?
Okay.
So they can't really mess with that stuff. But they
That's
did,
good.
because back in the late 70s and early 80s, you had people, your multimillionaires, that were pumping millions into these accounts. And the government stepped in at that point and said, hey, this doesn't look like any life insurance policy we've ever seen. So then they put certain limits on how much you could put in over a certain period of time. So we just have to structure them a little bit differently now. But other than that, they can't go back and change the contracts on you.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Greg, listening and watching in Loganville. Harry in Lawrenceville wants to know the main differences between a 401k and a pension plan.
So a pension plan, it's there are some similarities, but a pension plan, this is money that's typically set aside for you to where when you retire, it's going to give you a guaranteed stream of income. Some companies will give you a lump sum amount to be able to take out, but it's kind of like what would just happen with GE. They froze everybody's pension plans or a sizable portion, I think 20,000 people, they froze their pension plans. So the company has a lot more control than maybe they do over a 401k. But a 401k, you've got a little bit more options that if you need to take a loan out against it, or you can actually roll it out before you retire. Once you hit 59 and a half, you can roll that money out into your own individual IRA. Or if you've left a company, you can roll that 401k over into your own individual IRA. So pensions, they can be a little bit more restrictive on what you can do with those pension amounts.
Well, really, and I guess with a pension, whereas a 401k, you're using your pre-tax dollars, which sounds good, your tax-deferred dollars that's coming out of your gross salary, where a pension is being paid into an investment vehicle on your behalf,
right.
But you really don't have any say. And then I guess there's a calculation depending on when you retire and how many years you're vested in the company that this is your benefit.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And if it's just for you or if it's for your lifetime or a spouse's lifetime, so you're making sure that you're protecting the spouse. Because we see that a lot too, where one spouse will have the pension. Like I had this one couple, the husband was getting $150,000 a year for his pension. So between that and their Social Security, they had over $200,000 a year worth of income coming in.
Not bad.
But if he predeceased his wife, there was no survivorship benefit. He elected not to have that option.
Oh, so they would just go away?
So she goes from $200,000 a year down to less than 30, right?
Wow.
Where it's just one of the Social Securities.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And pension is one of those things that you don't hear very much anymore. Some huge companies like, especially union companies, the automakers and major companies like GE and that stuff. But most companies, the pension is a thing of the past.
It really is.
On the way of the dinosaur.
It's dying. Yeah. That's where the 401ks came in. We're now,
they're like, maybe we should let the employees take care of that.
That's
Great
exactly
questions
right.
as always.
Yeah, very good
Let's
question.
wrap it up, Patrick. How do folks get in touch with you and get that time schedule to get to a 5-star retirement?
Yeah, so the offer that we have for our listeners is give us a call here at 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. And we will do a stress test and analysis for you to see where you're at on the course to your retirement, or if you're retired, what things really look like. So we'll take a look, do this analysis. We'll show you the things that are really good that you're doing. And then there's going to be always, some red flags that pop up. And these would be things that we would be fixing if we were you. And so the sooner you get in and, get on top of these things, the better. Because I hear it all the time. We wish we'd have talked to you 5, 10, 15 plus years ago with the things that we learned. But you're going to learn a ton when we sit down. But you got to take the action. Give us a call. We'll do this for you free of charge. 770-545-8881 or go to bellaadvisors.com.
And if this is something that's been helpful to you, as I know it has, make sure to share and like, and make sure to let other people know about 5-Star Retirement. I'm your host, Chris Monroe, alongside Patrick Mueller of Bella Advisors, and we will see you next time.